Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Mitch Simkins, and this is Wins for Widows, where you get practical guidance from the mouth of professionals who were all united in helping you get your feet back on the ground after experiencing the loss of a loved one. Together, we'll uncover the rooted question you might be asking yourself, what now? And what should I do next? Today, I have Tad Griffin back on as a encore. Tad, this is an encore presentation since the last one was so helpful and useful. As you will remember, Tad is a real estate agent, and he has a lot of experience working with both widows and clients who are older. And as we got talking about some of the challenges that really face in that group, Tad's had experience. I've had experience with many of you, perhaps, who have been subject to scams and subject to people who would want to take your money and they really have no right to have it. And so we thought today we'd spend a minute and just talk about this and make this episode specific to that subject because it happens too often. And if we could avoid anyone from having those things happen as a result of this, we'll have done good work today, Tad. Tad, you were saying some people close to you have also had some challenges in this space.
Yeah, I've got a mother and father-in-law, and my father-in-law has some dementia, and the kids have ended up having to take away all control from computer and banking because they've been hit 4 or 5 times with different scams, and they are readily out there and very targeting the elderly, unfortunately.
They are for sure. And if I might, let me share just a quick story of one of my clients. Again, not to scare you. That's not the purpose of this, right? We don't want to scare you, but we want you to realize the risks that are out there, right? I had a client years ago who was older and came into me saying he'd lost $70,000. And I said, how in the heavens did you lose 70,000 bucks? And he said, well, I got a phone call from American Express. I said, okay, that's cool. Do you have an American Express card? He said, sure, I have an American Express card. And he said, this is American Express and I need some information from you. And they said, can you give me your social security number? So he did, thinking that it was
Oops.
American Express. Come to find out that it wasn't American Express. It was a scammer. They were able to go directly into his bank account, pull the money, and he thought, well, okay, I'm going to go to my bank, right? This was obviously a scam. I'm going to go to my bank. So he goes to the bank and says, hey, I just got taken. And you know what the result, you know what the comment back from the bank was? Did you give them your social security number willingly and freely? And he said, yes, I did.
Ooh.
And therefore they said, not much I can do for you. I'm sorry. So they weren't able to recoup it or recover it. So it happens, and you do have to be really diligent and really, really careful there. And that's one of the big no-nos, right, Ted? Never give your social security number
Never.
over the phone.
Or your banking information as well, your bank routing and transit number. Never divulge those two items. Correct.
Yes. Yes, yes. And never, and maybe Tad, these are some of the points you're going to get. So I'm sorry for stealing some of these, but never accept a call in and give information out. If you're getting a call in and they seem to be legitimate, you say, thank you for calling. I'll call you back. Then you hang up. And then you go to like your credit card or to a statement or something where you know there is a legitimate phone number, and you call them and say, I'm calling you because I got this phone call. Is this true? Is this accurate? Do you need that information, right? Never receive
Yeah.
one coming in. Only go out to a source that you know that you verified the phone number. Yeah? Was that one of your points, Tad? Did I just steal one of your
It is, and
offers?
we can
Okay.
walk through some of those others, but
Yeah, let's hit
yes,
them.
that is
Let's
a
go.
very valid point, is validate who you're talking to.
Yep.
That is the number one mistake people make, is they're really good at, they can get your information, and they're really good at sharing some of your information to make you think it's a reliable connection with your bank or other agencies that you work with, a government agency. But you're right, to hang up, call the reputable number that you've used in the past and say, hey, did I receive this call? And verify their name too. Say, hey, let me get your name and let me call the number I'm used to calling.
Good.
That'll stop a scammer really quick.
Good point. Good point. Thanks, Ted.
Well,
What
let's
else
go.
is out there?
Yeah, let's kind of go through, just kind of give you a couple statistics just to make you aware. And again, not to scare you, but realize that in 2023, scams that were targeting people over the age age 60 plus caused 3.4 billion in losses. That's per
Billion, that's a B.
billion. B is in billion. That's a lot of money through the FBI Crime Complaint Center,
Wow.
through the
Wow.
FBI.
Wow.
The average loss per victim age 60 plus in that same year was about 33,915,
Wow.
almost 34 grand that
Terrible.
all these people lost. From 2020 to 2024, older adults reported losing 10,000 or more, increased more than fourfold. And for losses of 100,000, the number of reports was sevenfold.
Oh my
That's through
God.
the Federal Trade Commission.
Wow.
So the key is just be very cautious, and
Yeah.
let's walk through a few more of the practical steps. Mitch mentioned one, but here's another one. If somebody calls and if they make that call seem urgent and say you owe money and want your social security number and they're going to compromise it, stop. Make sure that's not the way they work. And then also, don't click on pop-ups that claim your computer is hacked. That's a one we see a lot, that they say, hey, your computer's been hacked. Click here. Don't ever give remote access unless you've initiated the contact. That is really critical. That's one of the most common ones they get, is they get on your computer, and then what they'll do is they'll take over your computer and then require ransomware for you to get access back, and that can cost a lot of money. So that actually happened to my wife, that's a real estate agent. She had somebody call as if they were a real estate agent and said, here, I'm going to send you this lead information. Click on this thing. And she did. And luckily, she hurried and turned off her computer, got it to her IT person, and they
Mm. Mm.
fixed it before it became a major problem. But
Wow.
those scammers are out there.
Yeah. And Tad, kind of to add on to your comment about pressure, one of my close loved ones actually received threats when she was asked to send money, and she said she wasn't going to. The person said, I know where you live, I know where you are, and if you don't, then there could be problems. So if that ever happens, if you ever get any of that, the first thing to do is hang up and go talk to someone that you know, love, and trust, and tell them what went on. I think part of the problem with this too, Tad, is that I think sometimes people who are getting scammed or in the scam feel silly, right? Feel like, oh my gosh, I feel really stupid that I'm in the middle of this, right? So then they keep it quiet. They don't tell people. They don't say, like, this just happened to me.
Right. Right.
Luckily, in this case, when this person went into the bank knew her, and she said, I'm here to transfer, I don't remember, $40,000 or something that was. And the bank teller knew her well and said, why are you doing this? This makes no sense. And she made a phone call to one of her loved ones and said, this is happening. Is this right? And then they came down and they talked through it, and that's when it kind of all came out. But I think that's definitely what these scammers will do too, is play on that emotion of, like, don't look silly to your people around you, when you're not going to look silly. You're going to look brilliant by saying to someone, look, this is happening and it needs to stop.
I agree. That is a very key point that when in doubt, talk to a trusted, either a family member, an adult child, a friend, any of that before sending money. Or if you think you've clicked on something you shouldn't have, get it to an IT person that can check it. But you're right. Don't say, oh, this will go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hit it head on.
And with the widows and the elderly clients I work with, those that still have a spouse there, they have each other to kind of bounce it off. But in the case of widows, I always encourage them to have a close someone with them and talking about that. That can be me. I offer that, and I've done that a few times, but it can be a close friend or a family member. And I realize sometimes you don't want them all involved, but having someone that is just a neutral third party that can be there to bounce stuff off and just to say, hey, does this seem right? It can pays dividends.
That's great. That trusted advisor is paramount, really, in your protection.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
great. A couple of the things scammers will do, they'll often demand wire transfers. Be very aware of that. That's very common.
Good point.
They'll do stuff with cryptocurrency or gift cards. and because those are very hard to recover, so that's what they've
Good
learned
point.
to use. So avoid if somebody's saying, "Hey, I need you to send these gift cards, I'll pay you." Be very cautious.
Hmm.
And again, the two biggest things to make sure you're not divulging to somebody over the phone unless you've made the call and you know you're talking to your bank or someone trusted is your social security number, your bank account numbers, and your passwords. I've had people that I've worked with that said, "Hey, well, I need your password to get into this software." And I'm like, I don't divulge my passwords. I'm not giving out a password. Sorry.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that in real estate, I've actually had some companies that wanna help you with lead generation. They say, "Well, here, give me, your login,
Passwords and stuff. Yeah,
give that the information out. Sorry. If
yeah.
you need that, then you're talking to the wrong person."
A little scary. A little
So
scary.
that's a real big key is avoid those 2 things.
And usually, Tad, like the bigger companies, like I've experienced when I have to enter a password, they won't ask me for it. They'll give me a method for me to enter it without them being able to see it. It's completely unavailable to them, and it's me actually doing it. So,
Yeah. One other thing is a real big cautious is follow your gut instinct. If somebody's promising and it sounds too good to be true, like guaranteed returns and stuff like that, look at that as an instant red flag and go, no, 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 this has got to be a scammer. So really be cautious and watch for those things that sound too good to be true or they're giving you guaranteed returns because scammers are very, very good at that.
so Tad, with that, the reason why this loved one of mine was connected with it was because they called promising a big amount of money back.
Very common.
That was the exact hook that created interest and started this ball rolling down the track. So definitely that's a great point.
Couple other things just to be aware of that if you feel like you've been scammed, if you do suspect a scam, you can report it to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and
Mm,
I would recommend doing that. Then AARP has a fraud watch that you can also, that's a resource for older adults.
mm.
So I'd recommend maybe going to it's AARP plus one and they can help you. But also the easiest is check with your bank because many banks and credit unions, they have what's called elder financial abuse protocols
Mm.
and ask if they have extra monitoring or alerts for seniors because a lot of them do. And then they can set those up just to make sure that large sums of monies aren't getting transferred, etc. But then you can put a few protocols in place that'll really help, be safety nets for you if at some point you're not really thinking and answer something that you shouldn't have.
So Tad, yeah, that's a really great point. I love that. It's super helpful.
So I think the three keys that we kind of end with is key number one is combining your personal awareness. Look for red flags that they don't make sense. They sound too good to be true. Second thing is use extra caution. Always err on the side of caution. When in doubt, leave it out. Don't disclose it. Don't click on it on your computer. If you have any doubt, don't do it. Check with somebody, a friend, an adult child of yours, someone first. And then the last one is, I think what Mitch has said is use a trusted advisor, a financial advisor, someone that you know can help you with making sure you don't make those mistakes because they are all too common and we hate seeing people, especially people that are vulnerable that are over 60 that are targeted so heavily by so many of these scammers.
And to your point, Tad, like for widows, right? They're right in the midst of this grief. There's so much pressure on
Yeah.
them. Uh,
Emotional.
there's such an emotional turmoil going on that
Right.
it makes you really vulnerable in that phase. And so that increases that vulnerability as well for widows who can experience that.
And a lot of these scammers watch obituaries and see when a husband or a spouse passes away, and so they can also increase their targeting with timing. So Mitch is
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You got to be really cautious the first 30, 60, 90 days and even beyond that, but they can target you almost immediately after a major loss. So
Yeah.
yeah, just use caution and always err on the side of if you're in doubt,
Less is more.
don't do it. Yeah, less is
Yep,
more.
less is more. One of the good things, I think you probably experienced this in the real estate industry as well, but I know in the financial services industry, like the penalties for elder abuse are massive, very extreme. They've done a lot to say like, don't mess. There's an acknowledgement there's some vulnerabilities there, and so hopefully that deters a little bit of it, but still,
Yeah.
it's definitely so prevalent.
Just be cautious. Just keep those caution signs up for sure.
You're awesome, Ted. Well, thank you so much. I think this is great conversation. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm sure it will be for those who watch the podcast, and let's protect.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Ted.
your time.
Take
Take
care.
care.